Meanwhile, in the pod cave.
And welcome back to another edition of the Podman. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
Podman Ron.
And unfortunately, Alex could not be with us tonight for some unknown reason. But
he's busy.
He's busy. He's wandering around the beach house.
Yeah. But making another appearance is PMR's good friend Jack Daniels.
Oh, well, Jack is never too far away.
So maybe a good one.
Far is Jack Daniels.
Well, it's got to be a good one. It's a very special San Diego Comic-Con episode. According to Podman Ron, lots of exciting things was announced. I'm not so sure of that.
No, Brad, you would
agree to disagree.
Let's just agree to. I mean, there was of the stuff that Brian or Scoop Brian.
Brad, when's the last time you got excited about any movies besides a Godzilla movie?
It's been a while. But I mean, it's just.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we're still hearing you. Brian, can you hear him?
Okay, good.
I can hear him.
All right.
Yeah,
I hear the clinking of the ice.
What's the last Marvel movie you got excited about? You just don't get excited about.
Endgame. There is. I will argue there is nothing to get excited about in the Marvel universe anymore. I think I've disowned it. I think I've disowned that. I mean, I seriously, I slugged through Black Widow for no reason whatsoever.
That was terrible. That was a terrible movie. I get that.
And I did watch Shang-Chi. I saw that in the theaters, which was
a good movie.
I watched up until the Illuminati part of Multiverse of Madness, and then it's like, okay, I just don't care about these characters anymore.
Jesus.
And I would rather get a good night's sleep. But before we get to that, before we get to my bedtime regime,
yeah.
Brian, where do we start? Do we start with Marvel? What do we do here?
Well, we have a couple of news things to kind of whet our appetite if we want to jump into those before we jump into and then do Comic-Con separately.
Okay, let's do it.
So, do we have everybody's taking a sip. Do we have music for the news? There you go.
Sorry. Audio engineering. Taking it
You threw Brian off his game without his intro.
Where's my music? Somebody's going to play me in, right?
So a quote was come out earlier this week from Al Jean, who's one of the writers and producer of The Simpsons. I thought this was pretty ingenious. He said that he wants the final scene, whenever The Simpsons goes off the air, he wants the final scene to be them arriving at the Christmas pageant from the first scene of the pilot episode in 1989.
I'll be honest with you. You did send that, and I didn't get it.
Well, they never age, right? And so they never age, and the time is always kind of like, wonky anyway. So do you remember the first episode of The Simpsons where they went and got Santa's little helper?
No.
They had
why I didn't get it.
It started with a Christmas pageant, and Bart is where he sings, Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's the very first scene of the very first episode of The Simpsons ever. And so what Al Jean is saying is he wants that to be the last scene, like them pulling up to go to the Christmas pageant. Like everything in the show has either been like a prequel, but it would also put The Simpsons on an infinite loop where you just watch it and it would never end.
Well, what would be great if they say, okay, season 50 or whatever is going to be the last season, if they start devolving the animation to make the animation match
would be cool
the
too,
first episode, and then it would be a complete loop.
And not really explain it, just slowly kind of work it in. Yeah.
But what would really be amazing if anybody gave a shit, because The Simpsons have been irrelevant for 10 years now. So I mean,
ouch.
I'm just saying. I mean, I like The Simpsons, but I liked them 10 or 15 years ago. I only know they're still on because
Brian told you.
I don't know. Yeah, Brian just told me there's too long. I mean, nobody. All
right,
really
well, you didn't impress Podman Ron with that news bite.
I just thought it was cool. I thought that was such a cool idea. So, yeah, not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
Apparently so.
Just like Marvel movies. I mean, I get slammed. I get slammed for not liking Marvel movies, but it's okay if Podman Ron doesn't like Simpsons.
Yeah, I guess so.
Go ahead, Brian. Your next news, because I got, yeah.
Sony Pictures Group co-president Sanford Pantich said there's so much press about Top Gun right now. It's like the movie business is back. In a weird way, I would say Top Gun is benefiting from us taking our shot. Venom is the start of that story and allows Top Gun to do the kind of business it did. Weird. So he is pinning the success of Top Gun Maverick on Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
That's bizarre.
And so,
what's his reasoning behind
his argument was that was the first big return to theaters, right? That was the first big movie where everything returned to theaters.
No,
no, it wasn't. Okay. That's the thing. It wasn't. So, like, he's omitting Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was the first big film that broke 200 million. Yeah, it did 224 million in its opening weekend. Let There Be Carnage, which came out a month later, did 213 million. So it's not opening weekend, like in its run. So he's trying to Sony's doing this weird thing where they're trying to go, oh no, people love our movies. Like as we had, Mobius, or Morbius that completely shit the bed. Now you've got, nobody wants Madam Web. They're doing El Muerte, the wrestler superhero that's appeared in one issue of Spider-Man, and Kraven the Hunter. So
Kraven the Kind.
Kraven
the Caring. Kraven
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand why they do not do a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man with Spider-Girl. I think that was your idea, Brian. And then they would do an Andrew
Mayday
Garfield. Yeah, do a Mayday Parker with Tobey Maguire, and then they would do an Andrew Garfield as the Sonyverse Spider-Man, and go from there. Marvel set them up. Marvel gave them everything. They could actually do that probably, and it would be successful instead of doing these third, fourth rate tier characters.
Well, this has been the Sony way
around them.
Right? This has been the Sony way for, since the beginning. That was why we got Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 to begin with, because they didn't want to play in the Marvel sandbox, and then they had to play in the Marvel sandbox. But now it's like they so don't want to be beholden to Kevin Feige, and
they don't want to be beholden. Yeah, but I don't understand why. It's like Kevin Feige handed them these movies with Spider-Man. Now they've given them their own Spider-Man that they could use for their universe, and they still are making these shitty movies that no one's going to go watch. I mean, I doubt anybody will go see Madam Web, and no one's going to see that fucking wrestling. I mean, who the fuck? Nobody's going to watch that.
And the wrestling one they're wanting to bring in Bad Bunny is the star.
I don't even know what that is. What's
he's a
Bad
rapper.
Bunny?
He's a rapper. So, let's see. What other news do we have? Marvel reportedly turning Captain Marvel 2 into a musical, or it will at least have musical segments.
Oh, God.
Just like Joker 2.
Just like Joker 2. Nothing.
Is that true? Is that really?
That's the report.
That's from the rumor files.
That's from the rumor files. But, I guess... if you want a connection, you got Kamala Khan that's going to be in the film, and then one of Brie Larson's credits is she did a Bollywood movie.
There you
go. Is she really Brie Larson?
Yeah. It wasn't. It was a movie that was about or themed like a Bollywood movie. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see.
That.
Hey,
and then
speaking of getting excited about movies, Podman Ron, did anybody watch RRR on Netflix?
I don't know what that is.
It's this 3-hour. It's actually not Bollywood. It's Tollywood from Tingu or something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing it. But it's a 3-hour extravaganza, and it's got a few musical numbers in it.
And you watched it.
I did.
You won't sit through 2 hours of a Doctor Strange movie, but you'll watch some crazy Hollywood. What?
RRR.
RRR. It's on Netflix.
What's it about?
It's about two guys that are pitted against each other and then become friends, and then through circumstances they're enemies again, and then they're friends to take down the evil English that are, trying to enslave India.
So it's Tango and Cash.
It's Tango. You would love it. You would love
Indian
it.
version of Tango and Cash.
It's the Tango and Cash of Bollywood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got PMR popped for this one earlier in the week. Maybe he will now. William Shatner has made some incendiary remarks about the current Star Trek product.
I literally had just read that when you posted it, and I was laughing. I don't even think I'd stopped laughing when I saw that you posted it too. I was like, "That's hilarious."
Yeah. So a lot of the complaints we've made about the Star Trek shows, recently.
What was his quote? What did he say?
He said, I got to know Gene Roddenberry in the 3 years fairly well. He'd be turning in his grave at some of this stuff."
Sorry.
So what does that mean? That Star Trek has come too far from where Roddenberry wanted it, or?
Yes.
Sorry.
PMR's like, that was a guffaw. He just
Sorry.
shot whiskey out of his nose.
No, sorry about that. I was just thinking of something. Gene Roddenberry.
Oh, all right. Yeah, just I think essentially is that, it's become so it's not science fiction anymore, really. It's
social
social the social consciousness or whatever. But it's gotten away from. It used to be. I say it was more subtle, but then you think about the episodes like with Frank Gorshin, where it's the white
black
black.
and half black and white. I was about to say this sudden, yeah.
So it felt like more subtle, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't, but it just seems like now it's more. I don't know, just more hit you over the head. It's a constant thing. It's like I like it. I like the stories like that to be more. They flow with the storyline instead of just like that's the whole story and that's all that is to it. It's like it's gotta flow in the story. It's gotta be a part of it instead of that's all it's about.
Well, there's times on Discovery where it feels more like Gilmore Girls than it does Star Trek. In the last season, there was this whole subplot about the whole crew couldn't get together. They couldn't agree on anything. They had been thrown off into the distant future. And so they planned this dinner together. And there's 20 people at this giant table in the captain's quarters having a Thanksgiving dinner together. And it's like, well, who the fuck's flying the ship?
Autopilot.
And, or if they left all their ensigns and everybody else to fly the ship, isn't that just going to sow this
Well, they'll do stuff like she'll get everybody pick a vote or something. I'm like, that's not really the way it is when you're the captain.
You got to make tough decisions, yeah.
You got to make the decisions. You don't ask everybody for a vote. That's nice, but it's nice of you to do it. But you got to make the decision yourself.
There was the whole episode where they kept passing around Tilly's birthday card and having everybody sign it. And I was like, man, they're spending a lot of time on this episode about it. Yeah.
That's the episode. It's who signs the birthday card. Yeah,
everybody had to pass around Tilly's birthday card.
That reminds me of that old original series when they passed around Scotty's birthday card.
Tig Notaro wouldn't chip in for the cake. It was
controversy.
It was a real big one. A real nail biter on that one.
Yeah, there's that. Let's see what other tidbits do we have. Oh, there's one. I got another potpourri kind of story I was going to throw in there. Did you guys? I sent this out earlier, but where's the headline? Where's the headline? Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that it's buried at the end of all this. All right. in Moscow, they have a chess tournament called the Moscow Open, and it's brought on by it's held by the Moscow Chess Federation. And the chess robot, who is playing a 7-year-old boy, chess robot grabs and breaks finger of 7-year-old boy during the match.
That's how the revolution begins.
That's how it begins.
Honestly, that's the best news I've heard all week. Actually, that's all.
It said the robot grabbed his hand.
Please let there be video of this.
There is.
He
There's video if you'd look.
Oh, Brian.
If you look.
Well, you know I don't open.
You try too hard, Brian.
I know. I sent the video and everything. But I think it said something like the robot clamped onto the kid's hand for like 2 minutes and it had to like pry it off of the kid.
Was the kid screaming? Because that would make it even better.
Well, it's security video. If you break a 7-year-old kid's finger, he's probably going to scream.
Most likely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Because you know that kid's probably some smug little asshole. 7-year-old plays chess.
Yeah, 7-year-old chess player. He was probably talking shit to that robot.
That robot had enough of his shit.
Well, it brings us back to the story a few weeks ago about the Google web developer that said that his AI had gained sentience, and Google disagreed.
And he got fired recently. Interesting.
So, little potpourri of stories.
Potpourri of stories. All right, but the big story, San Diego Comic-Con. Again, to this date, Brian
Do you have intro music for that?
I do not. Brian has the honor of the only podman ever going to San Diego Comic-Con. Talking about the Moscow robot, the Comic-Con. So you didn't go this year, Brian?
Did not. No.
Did not.
Well, we went to the last one, which was summer 2019.
Yeah,
so.
that was the last big one, the last good one.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make a comeback. So I guess we got not a whole lot of DC news, a fair amount of Marvel news, it seems like. And then I guess maybe a little bit of potpourri in there, but not. I haven't seen too much coming out of it, has there?
No, most of it's the Marvel stuff, and it's weird because PMR asked, like, well, first you do have DC Fandom is coming back,
right?
And
it'll be a couple of months, August, September.
Yeah, I think it's either late August, early September, something like, or mid September, somewhere in that window. They've announced the date. I just don't, But as we get closer, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But
what are we talking about?
DC Fandom and Comic-Con.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, DC's in a hard spot because you would think they'd be showing footage of Flashpoint. Well, what the hell do you do with Ezra Miller?
They're trying not to. Right?
So, so Ezra Miller, they're trying to keep the stink off of that movie and just let things die down, I believe. We got a trailer for Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Right.
We got a trailer for Black Panther.
Black Adam.
But the sad thing about the Flash movie, though, is all the early reactions are it's really kind of everybody that has seen it or has seen bits and pieces of it say it's really a good movie. So they can't do anything with it because of that idiot that they got as the lead.
And it seems like they're content to leave him in the seat. Like they're not going into reshoots. I think they're just it's not critical to Shazam. It's not critical to Black Adam.
Just let it play out, and if anybody sees it, then they see it.
Or hold it for another year and a half until he goes into rehab and he gets on the he's on the bounce back. He's on the the rebound tour.
That's right.
So so they didn't have a ton of stuff that they could even show. Other than trailers of films we already knew, but no new movies were announced.
Yeah.
Right.
So Black Adam, I didn't watch the Black Adam trailer. I watched the Shazam one. Did Black Adam did it do anything for you, Podman Ron? I know you're a big rock fan, but a rock fan on the decline.
I was a big rock, but no, it really didn't. I mean, it's the same stuff. It's just him mugging for the camera, destroying this and that. It's just, I don't know. It just does not.
Doesn't do
just not as good. Not as good as I thought it was going to be honest with you. And I mean, I'm more interested in the side characters. I'm more interested in seeing Dr. Fate and Hawkman than I am seeing The Rock play Black Adam.
Right.
You can almost tell. Well, and I'm not shitting on the movie yet. I mean, I'll
yeah.
But you can almost tell a difference when The Rock is starring and when The Rock is starring and producing, right? Rock starring, Jumanji 1 and 2, right? Rock starring and producing, Disney's Jungle Book, or Jungle Cruise. Right? It's like, so, like, quality dips significantly when he's both the star and the producer. Wow. It seems like. Because you had when you had Skyscraper, you had Rampage, right?
Oh God,
you had Jungle Cruise, right? So this is the first, like, I guess, like, action. I don't know. He's done other action movies that he produced, but I guess this is the first, like, major studio. I mean, because you got Jungle Cruise too.
Yeah.
Disney, like, yeah, it is weird. It is weird. And here, well, hang on one second.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to say was I'm excited to see Justice Society, right? But are they all just going to be background props for him?
Yeah.
Or is he actually going to let them get there?
No, they're not.
So
no, he's not. What I was going to say is, like, when it was proposed that The Rock be Black Adam is back in the day. I mean, it's been like 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
When he looked like Black Adam, because he had the hair. He did. He had the really, the close cropped hair. He was built, but he wasn't so, like, freakishly muscular like he is now. He was just a muscular dude. He had the close cropped hair. He looked like the Black Adam in the comics. So it was great. It was and he wasn't so popular like he is now. He's like, The Rock is now, like, I want to say he's kind of iconic. I mean, the way he is. So now, fast forward 10 years, they finally get this movie made. Now The Rock is a personality on in itself. It's like, so when you watch the Black Adam movie, all you're going to see is The Rock. It's just The Rock. So you're not seeing the character Black Adam anymore. That's the problem when he's playing an iconic character. You got an iconic actor playing an iconic character. One of them's got to go. You can't have them both. Which, when he's playing, like, something in the Jungle Cruise, or he's playing something in that fucking Rampage or any of those other lame movies, he's The Rock. But the characters he's playing are not iconic characters. They're just,
so it doesn't matter that it's The Rock.
It doesn't matter. Now you're playing an iconic character, and it does matter. I mean, it just does not. It just looks stupid. It just looks like The Rock playing a superhero. It doesn't. When you see those trailers, you're not seeing a different character or a different person. You're seeing The Rock. I mean, so it just doesn't work, in my opinion. That's just how. And so I can't get excited about this movie whatsoever, other than the Justice Society.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is if they're smart, they're going to say, "Look, we're propping up the Justice Society. If they hit, they'll move on, and then they won't be in Black Adam 2, and that way you're building." But if they're all just standing in the background, if they pull the Illuminati shit that Marvel just did with the Justice Society, it's going to be a huge misstep.
Yeah, so I agree. I totally agree.
And is it not odd that you've got Black Adam and Shazam, who you got two movies that should be sharing the same universe, completely connected as they are in the comic books. I mean, there's got to be you would think that they would at least reference that, oh, here's a guy wearing a black costume with a giant lightning bolt on his chest. We got the red, the costume. Anyway, so Shazam, Fury of the Gods, is that going to reference it?
Yeah, right. And to your point, Black Adam is Shazam's main villain, but all Dwayne Johnson talks about is Black Adam versus Superman.
Right.
And it's like, Superman is not your foil. Shazam is. So it's like, why does he keep putting himself on this collision course with Superman? He never talks about the fight between Shazam
it's almost
and
like
Black
they
Adam,
say, don't mention the two. Don't connect the two.
It's so weird. It's so bizarre, yeah.
No, it's not bizarre because his ego will not let him, Shazam is a second-tier character. He's a second-string Superman. So he don't want to go second string. He wants to go after the main man, which is Superman. So that's where that comes from. I mean,
but what's more interesting is if you've got two films of Billy trying to learn his powers, and you got this kid trying to come into his own, and then if you set up Black Adam as this ultimate badass,
right,
and put him on a collision course, it's like, well, how the hell does Billy overcome this? Right. That's an interesting story. Like shoving Black Adam and Superman, into a story together doesn't really fit, especially considering Shazam is magic, and magic is Superman's kryptonite. Like it affects him just like kryptonite does. It's very weird.
Kryptonite as well.
Kryptonite is kryptonite. But that brings us to another comment, and some rumblings towards the end of last week were that Henry Cavill was going to show up at the DC panel, right? Because Discovery Warner has said they're putting Superman back in the forefront. So, all this, Supergirl, like moving on from Henry Cavill is no longer, well, they may be moving along from Henry Cavill, not by choice, but Superman will be put back into the forefront. So the rumor was Henry Cavill was going to be showing up for the panel, and he didn't show. Somebody asked The Rock who would win between Black Adam and Superman, and he said something, and it got people booing. He said, I guess it depends on who's playing Superman. And so now people took that as, well, maybe Henry Cavill's not coming back. And so people in Hall 8 started booing. They were not happy.
They were not happy on The Rock. They started throwing Rotten Tomatoes at The Rock. It was embarrassing. He was, I'm wearing the suit. I'm wearing the super suit. So Shazam Fury of the Gods, he's up against Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as the main enemies there.
Are you serious? That's
yeah.
So sad.
I don't know. God. Again, it's kind of neat seeing they show a little clips of Lucy Liu.
I mean, did they have to get a time machine to go back to like 2002 to get Lucy Liu?
To get sexy Helen Mirren?
And sexy Helen Mirren?
Again, I mean, what do you think here, Brian? Why bother?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because they're tying it back to Atlas. I guess they're angry that he stole they're saying he stole the power of all these gods, specifically Atlas, because forget who she's playing. Rachel Ziegler is Atlas. Who is Helen Mirren playing?
Some old broad.
Hespera. And Lucy Liu is playing Calypso. So they're playing like disciples, because Calypso was. You got to get into your Greek mythology.
Well, this is a problem that the same thing we were talking about with Thor. Yeah, with Thor, it's like, well, in Wonder Woman, it's like you start combining superheroes and Greek mythology and all that, which I guess is fine, but it's kind of too. It's too real, sort of like it's making these gods that were mythology in our real universe. Now all of a sudden, well, now those were real people, that Hercules and Zeus and all this kind of stuff, as opposed to being aliens and the Thor stuff. Now all of a sudden they're real gods.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so the problem is though, it's like you've got in the last movie they set up Mr. Mind. Right at the end of the last movie. And so Mr. Mind was integral to the whole Monster Men storyline, right? There's another dimension that's full of monsters, and he brought the monsters over. That would give all of the Shazam family somebody to fight.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, and maybe they're going to pull a switcheroo, because it's not like, there's 6 Marvels. Like, are they going to just beat the shit out of Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu for 2 hours?
CGI. Alien-looking characters to be
right. So there's going to have to be some sort of army. So I mean, maybe they'll still bring in the Monster Man. I just feel bad that I thought the Mr. Mind thing because they were painting themselves into such a corner with doing Mr. Mind, I thought it would be interesting to see them get out of that corner.
Yeah.
Like, how do you use Mr. Mind as the villain? But other than Savannah and Black Adam and Mr. Mind, like, who else are Shazam's villains? I mean, I think he had a villain.
People.
I think wasn't Captain Nazi his villain.
I hope
I'm
so.
not. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, I think there was actually a villain called Captain Nazi.
Interesting. Well,
so
again, we'll see what
That
happens.
would be a good villain, Captain Nazi. I mean,
Why not?
Yeah. So all that to say, DC really blew it at San Diego this year.
now I did enjoy the Shazam 2 trailer. Right. I mean, it was especially because he kind of made the joke we make all the time about he was trying to when he's talking to Helen Mirren, he's like, I don't know about any of that, but I do know one thing. I've seen all the Fast and the Furious movies, and it's all about family. And he thought they would all pop in. Yeah. So.
But again, DC's saving it for a fandom here in the next month or so.
If there's
sure they
but
are.
I don't know what they're going to show still.
Right, because I mean, we could have gotten an Aquaman trailer. We didn't get that. Flashpoint is like all but scuttled, right? I mean, so they better start announcing some other films.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, Marvel in the meantime
Marvel
had like a shit ton of stuff that no one cares about.
Brian had said, and I think he had read it somewhere, that Marvel was going to not announce anything until D23. So this was all kind of surprising that all this stuff was announced. But I will say that,
wrong.
but no, not only that, though, but I feel like Marvel needed to get back to their roots, to what they were doing, and try to show that they had a grand scheme, a grand plan. Because I feel like no one knew what the grand plan was.
there wasn't one.
There really wasn't. So, well, there was, I guess. Apparently there was, and they never really revealed it. So I feel like
no one knew.
Well, I mean, now they've, it's just they've pretty much done what they did with Infinity, the Infinity Saga. It goes over 3 phases, and it ends with 2 Avenger movies. And this is exactly what they've done now. They've announced that it's called the Multiverse Saga. It's going to go over 3 phases, and it's going to end with 2 Avenger movies. So I think that's Marvel's formula, and that's they were successful with it the first time, and they're trying to rein all the bad press and everything of this Phase 4. So
I think it's more telling that I think this is more of a directive from Disney than it is what Feige's original plan was for Phase 4. Like, that's just my gut. But, Phase 4 did not have – Phase 4, when they announced it, they were doing their victory lap after Endgame.
Right.
Disney Plus had just launched. They started greenlighting all these TV shows, and they're like, these TV shows are part of the phase. No, they're not, because nothing fucking happens in any of these TV shows. Nothing happens, and nothing builds towards a film.
No. I gotta disagree with you there, because WandaVision, that was a huge part of it. I mean,
did you need to watch WandaVision to watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
It wouldn't have hurt.
But it didn't.
What she was talking about with kids.
It didn't help, and all it did was leave more questions, though, as to, well, where the hell's the Vision at? Where, those type of things. But because they are so far removed, and things with the movie still change even during production. So the TV shows are being filmed 18 months before the movie that it's going to follow up goes into production. So in the beginning, they're like, oh, well, these things are going to be disjointed. And so now they're pulling stuff out of the scripts, I feel like, for the TV shows and making the TV shows less and less interesting or important to watch. But, so now they've come in and said they've tightened up the phases to where
let me back up real quick, but also Captain America and Winter Soldier. I mean, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's where he becomes the Falcon. I mean, the Captain America. So
did you need to see that, though?
you don't need to see it, but I mean, it does help you if you want to more.
But that's different than phases 1, 2, and 3, because phases 1, 2, and 3, the promise was you need to see this because it's going to fit in later. Okay, that is not what we've gotten with phase 4. Phase 4, you've gotten these throwaway TV shows that don't really mean anything.
Okay.
But so I feel like phase 4 was like based off the films we've gotten, and it seems like they're wrapping phase 4 early, right? Because they've said phase 4 is now going to end with Black Panther.
Right.
And then they're going to jump into phase 5. And then phase 5 will start with Quantumania.
Right.
Phase 5 will have Quantumania, Guardians 3, Blade, The Marvels.
Oh my God.
Captain America, New World Order, and end with Thunderbolts. That's the films. And the TV shows along the way are going to be Secret Invasion, Echo, Loki Season 2, Ironheart, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, and the most exciting one, by a country mile, is Daredevil Born Again, which I called just a few weeks ago.
Wow.
You did.
Wow.
And the Daredevil Born Again is going to be 18 episodes. So they're also breaking the format of this.
Please don't. You could barely get through the Netflix Daredevils that were 8 or 10 episodes.
I liked it.
Oh my God, they're so boring. I mean, hopefully they will not make them quite as boring.
Well, with 18 episodes, it's not going to be they can treat it like a true TV show. You can have chapters. And I think 18 episodes is going to be, okay, we're going to say it's 18 episodes so you don't cancel your Disney Plus in the middle, but we're going to release it in chunks. But you can intersperse Fisk coming back, Fisk targeting Daredevil, bring in Typhoid Mary, right? Bring back Elektra, right? Recast Elektra if you want to, because she wasn't setting the world on fire, the actress. And then bring in Bullseye, because we did not get Bullseye in the TV shows, right? So you could truly, I mean, there's enough there to build out a very interesting.
We did get Bullseye in the TV show. That last season had Bullseye, and he was the FBI agent that turned into Bullseye.
Oh, I didn't watch the last season.
Yep, season 3.
So, but long story short, you can get all of that stuff in, and still, if you want to, what does that sound?
Podman Ron's taking a walk on the beach, I think.
A walk or a whiz? So yeah, Daredevil Born Again. Then they went and announced Phase 6, not all of it, but they announced how Phase 6 is going to start and how Phase 6 is going to end. And Phase 5 starts next year and ends in 2024. Phase 6 starts in 2024 and ends in 2026. So now they've tightened the phases down to an 18-month window.
Right.
But go ahead.
Well, I mean, one of the things is are they going to, all the Netflix stuff with Daredevil, are they going to wipe it out? Are they going to restart Daredevil again? I mean, because you got to think, in the She-Hulk, and we haven't really covered the trailers, but in the She-Hulk trailer, he's wearing his red and yellow outfit, which is, his original outfit in the comic book. He started out in a red and yellow outfit. So, and in the She-Hulk, trailer, I mean, you can barely see it, but of course everybody has slowed it down and looked at it, and he's obviously wearing a red and yellow outfit instead of just all red. So, are they going to do a different origin? Is it going to be, just wiped out all of that had to do with, the Netflix series? I mean,
I don't see why they would, because the Netflix series is on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
But so is Fantastic Four
womp womp.
20 years ago. So, I mean,
it's the same actor, though. Here's what I think. Just the fact that they're the double entendre of calling it Born Again right? Because Born Again is probably the most famous Daredevil storyline. So, and the whole thing with Born Again is Fisk has been off the table. Fisk was neutralized. Fisk didn't appear for, I think, a few years before the Born Again story started. And Fisk comes back in, wrestles the power from all these other mob families, and starts systematically attacking Matt Murdock. Well, that's a pretty easy intro back into this universe. Then you still got, well, if you like this, you can still go back or hey, it's coming out. Don't forget to watch Daredevil and keep subscribing to watch 3 seasons of Daredevil so that you know what's happening. But if you haven't watched it, or you haven't watched it since it went off the air in 2018, right? You're not going to necessarily feel lost because it is going to be a fresh starting point.
I mean, honestly, I love the Netflix stuff. I mean, that was good stuff. So,
will we see them reference Jessica Jones? Probably not. Right? Will they reference the whole Defenders shit? Probably not. But you can still have that sort of that commonality thread without having to go and retread.
You don't need it.
The last time on Daredevil, you don't have to do that. It's right. Fisk is back. Fisk is systematically attacking Matt Murdock. Go.
Right.
So I don't think it would be stupid for them to go and say, this other show that we have 3 seasons of that we just acquired from Netflix is obsolete. Don't watch that. Yeah.
Right. Of course.
So
one of the things though, what I believe that what I really liked about Marvel and doing all this during San Diego, it kind of reminded me of when they introduced, what was it, Phase 2 or Phase 3 in San Diego. And I think that's where Marvel needs to do this stuff at.
Well, I've got a theory.
It gets people more hyped when you do it at San Diego Con. And, I mean, it really brought back when they did all this in 2015 I think it was 2015 when they made all these announcements in 2015 or 2016.
Something else happened that you're forgetting.
But, so, yeah, I thought this was, it kind of energized, I think, where Marvel was starting to lack a lot, especially since, Thor's, although I like Thor, there was a lot of mixed reviews on Thor. So, and definitely, like everybody, there's a lot of people that didn't like Doctor Strange. So, I think Marvel had to do something to re-energize everything. And I think this is what, San Diego Con introduction of Phase 4, 5, and 6 did the trick. At least 5 and 6.
If I had to bet anything, DC went first, right?
Right.
And the history that you may or may not be remembering is when Marvel came out, I believe in 2015, and announced Phase 2 was going to end in Avengers Ultron, right?
Right.
And what's he doing? Avengers Ultron, and they announced that, but then all anybody could talk about after that San Diego Comic-Con was Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Batman versus Superman stole the show. So I feel
but it ended up sucking. So,
it ended up sucking, yes. But the buzz coming out of that San Diego Con was Batman v Superman. Everybody was talking about Batman v Superman.
Of course, right.
So I feel like Feige had 2 sets of note cards in his pocket. And when he saw what DC presented and did not announce anything new, he was like, well, here's my chance for revenge. And so he just both barrels blasted DC out of the water with all these announcements. And we got.
You say that, and I get what you're saying, but what did he really think DC was going to announce anyway? Because they don't have anything right now. I mean, Aquaman,
if DC had come out and said, hold on, if DC had come out and said, here's Henry Cavill. We're announcing Superman Man of Tomorrow releasing June 2025.
Yeah.
Right? that would have been the Henry Cavill is Superman again. We're getting another Superman movie. He's fighting Brainiac. Whatever. That would have.
All right, I'll go with it on that.
At that point, I think Feige's like, you know what? I'm going to pull out. I'm just going to talk about the stuff they already know. Maybe I'll go over the Phase 5 plan, end with Thunderbolts, but I'm not mentioning any of the Avengers 5 and 6. I'm not, I'm just going to roll out Phase 5, right? Which is half of Phase 5 is TV shows again, right? So, but what's I think that's probably what ended up happening, and now they know, okay, we've got at D23, we can flesh out Phase 6 some if we want to. If X-Men are happening in Phase 6, that can be the big, the big announcement at Phase 6, or just show the 2 trailers that we didn't get to see, because there was a trailer for Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, and there was a trailer for Guardians 3 that people at the convention saw that we haven't seen yet.
Well, speaking of trailers,
okay, go ahead, Brad.
I was going to take us back to She-Hulk real quick before we got to the big trailers. She-Hulk, we get to see a lot of Hulk and She-Hulk, and like you said, a little bit of Daredevil and Titanium Woman. Titania. Podman Ron, you said you liked it. You think the humor and the tone of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, is maybe a good one?
You know what? Well, actually, when I started watching it, when I first watched the trailer and it was starting to show a bunch of superhumans and, God, am I slurring? I think I'm slurring.
No more than the usual.
All right. So anyway, when I started watching it, I thought, this may be kind of dumb. I was like, this is kind of lame. But the more I watched the trailer, as I got into it more, it reminded me of the old Byrne run from the late 80s and early 90s. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was different. It was kind of fun. It's going to have humor in it. It's going to be, it's going to be different.
She mugged the camera.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that. Yeah.
That's from the Byrne run.
Yeah, you didn't appreciate that. Come on.
That's the Byrne run from
Took me out of it.
You love a good mugging.
The Byrne run from the 1990s.
Only Norman Fell can break the fourth wall.
Did that take you out of Three's Company when Norman Fell did it?
No. Because he invented it.
Exactly. She's doing the Norman Fell. She's doing the Roper stare, So, but she did that in the comic books. In the Byrne run, she broke the third wall.
And Deadpool. Deadpool does it constantly, right?
Yeah, but it's never been done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm kind of curious on how they're going to do it.
This isn't cinematic.
Well,
it'll be part of the canon, right?
It's part of the canon. So I didn't mind it too much.
So Brian is shitting all over She-Hulk, it feels like.
No, I'm not shitting on it.
I just didn't shit on it, actually.
I didn't appreciate it.
I didn't like her going talking to the camera like that. I was just like, But
she didn't talk to it. She just stared at it.
No, she didn't. She said something. She turns and says something to the camera.
You're right.
I don't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
But I hope we see. I feel like we saw Stiltman. Was the guy that went out the window?
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
I feel like that was Stiltman. I feel like we're getting. Obviously, the big case is supposed to be Emil.
Which I like the fact that you
the
saw
Abomination.
Wong. You saw Wong because Wong and him were in Shang-Chi together. So I thought that was kind of cool. So it looks interesting. It looks good.
It looks better than.
I hope we get. It would be nice if they had several cold opens or where she's working other cases, and you see like these third-rate, Marvel villains having to defend themselves in court and those type of hijinks.
And I honestly think you will. You'll see if you don't have a cold opening, you'll have a montage of them. I think you'll see that.
Yeah.
Of those.
All right.
To show what she's representing. But I actually, the tone of the book, of the show, fits the tone of the book, of the most popular series, not all the stupid series that came after the burn stuff. Which
not the over-muscular one.
Well, yeah, like not the one where she was, call her the Hulk. She's not She-Hulk. She's the Hulk. Not all that lame shit. It's the John Byrne stuff from the late '90s. I mean, the late '80s, early '90s. That was the quintessential, and Roger Stern from back in the Avengers days. So yeah, can't wait. It looks really good, and that's in August. So.
For me, that was probably the I won't say excited, but that was the most interesting one. That I'm like, okay, I'll give that a shot. I'll watch.
Yeah.
As far as the movies go, we see Black Panther, and what was the other one? Was there another Marvel movie trailer, Brian? No, or that was it.
No,
that was it. Okay, all right. They did have a pirated copy of Ant-Man and Wasp or whatever that is.
Yeah, I tried to watch it and I couldn't see it. It was weird, so I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, go onto Reddit and it's all over the place. You'll enjoy it, Brian.
Oh,
I'm
is
sure.
it? Okay.
Anyway, so Black Panther. We kind of get a little bit of a feel of what this is going to be like, the life after the death of Black Panther. And I don't know. What do you think here? We saw a little bit of Atlantis popping up. But still didn't really get too big of a feel of it. I guess was this a teaser trailer?
Well, yeah, it's a teaser. You see Namor, which I am not sold on who they cast for Namor. Like he does not have a commanding presence. I don't feel like. I wonder. I mean, he looks like he's 5 foot nothing. It looks. I mean, he just doesn't look like Namor. He just doesn't look like Namor.
One of my things I saw for him was like they show only his back,
right?
And I'm like, if he don't have a swimmer's back, I mean, he's got like a meaty, gross-looking bodybuilder back, and that's not a swimmer. They're more lean and they're more muscular, but like he should have had more of a lean. It just didn't look like Namor. I mean, it just didn't look. Not what I would envision Namor to look like. So I was not impressed with him at all.
He's always been drawn with like that swimmer's body, right? Like
exactly. So. I mean, that's because why? Because he's a fucking swimmer. That's all he does.
He lives in the water.
He lives on the fucking water.
According to the toys, he has little white wings on his feet. So
he does have the white wings. Yeah, here the toy photo is here.
Well, according to the lady squirting them out of her vagina in the preview, also, he's got little baby wings on his feet. So,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a scene where she's like, taking a squat and pushing them out. And
I didn't know that's who that was. Okay.
Here is Namor, the toy. And another thing, like he's not wearing the Speedo. He's wearing like board shorts. It's just, it's Namor. He wears a Speedo.
He wears a Speedo, people. I like the Aztec look of it. I think that's kind of neat to have them have.
He's got a faux hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the goatee and all that stuff. Anyway, so in the trailer, going back to the trailer, though, we see that Black Panther is dead, T'Challa.
Well, yeah, T'Challa. It's the country's in mourning,
and we see everybody else in the movie and all that kind of stuff, and we see a glimpse of the new Black Panther, but we don't know who it is. But we think we know it's Shura.
It's obvious. I mean, it's a female body. But
is it Shura or yeah?
Is it his mom? I mean, how many females are in the Black Panther universe right now?
Well, there could be 3 of them, right?
I mean, all right, there's 3. Yeah, because there was his girlfriend also. I forgot about her.
Well, there was Okoye. Wasn't that her name?
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. There's 4.
Right. That's who I wasn't counting his mom as being one of the women.
Okay. That's 3.
That
would be a surprise.
That would be a twist.
What if it was Angela Bassett?
What else is she doing?
I like the tone of this trailer. Like, I mean, it seems fitting. It's interesting
that good trailer. I would agree with you. That was a good trailer.
It's interesting because it seems like the whole idea is there's a power vacuum if T'Challa's dead, and Namor's trying to take advantage of that. Right,
well,
and that's.
And I don't know. Did you send it to me, or isn't it like the Wakandians are trying to find more vibranium and they're going in the ocean, and that's what stirs all this shit up with Namor?
There's something. Dr. Doom may be tied to it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is the Dr. Doom's trying to find vibranium. That's the rumor. He's trying to find vibranium. They assume it's the Wakandans, and that's what puts them on a collision course against each other. But because you can't be a villain. But
right.
It's. I liked the trailer. I am not a fan of Namor. I like the Aztec piece. Yeah. Right. I just do not like his character design. Yeah. Like,
I hope I'm wrong. I really, because Namor is like one of the cornerstones of the Marvel universe. I mean, he really is. I mean, if you think about it, he's one of the OGs. He's one of the original. Hell, he is. He's like one of the first heroes of the Marvel universe. So I really didn't want them to get him wrong. I mean, they really needed a good actor and someone that really, can bring Namor to life. But I don't know. I mean, I'm with Brian with this. So far, I'm just not been impressed, and it makes me nervous about it.
Well, and this.
I hope I'm wrong.
This shows. I mean, you can tell, like, because of his build, right? Yep. But the actor's 5'8". So I mean, it's like, he's not short, but he's also not. I mean, if you put him standing next to, Chris Evans, he's going to look like,
Right. Namor needs to be tall, and he needs to be built. He needs to be
tall.
Power.
Yeah. Swimmer's build. He needs lean muscle, not. Yeah.
Well, so I was hoping that it would. So you saying that, and maybe, of course, certainly could be a flashback, but that. And I guess it would have to be a flashback if that's him being born, and then he's a grown ass man wearing some halfway speedo. But if it's, again, Namor's been around for forever, and there's a mention of like, oh yeah, I remember Captain America or something like that. That would be cool. And
I would take all my money if they did an Invaders. Everybody's been like really big into like, oh, bring Chris Evans back as Captain America, and everybody, and the other half is like, no, that's an insult to Sam Wilson and him being Captain America. I say bring Chris Evans, but do a prequel with the Invaders back in WW2, and because you still got the Human Torch out there somewhere. You got the original Human Torch that we only saw in First Avenger, but where's he been at? It's got to come up sometime or another.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
going back to Namor, it'd be great if this guy does kind of nail it, so to speak, and they use him as a pop-in character from time to time, and sometimes he's a good guy, and sometimes he's a bad guy, or whatever, just like in the comics. And if he wore the black and the yellow wings and all that kind of stuff, that would be cool. But I always thought that would have been neat, or that could be neat, if they used him in that manner. To just have him kind of, sometimes he's destroying a city, or sometimes he's saving a city. You just don't know with this guy.
He's like absolutely. You never know, because he's his own person. He's not for us. He's for his country and Atlantis. I just I hope I'm wrong with this. I was wrong with everybody else that's ever been cast in these roles. I mean, so I hope I'm wrong with this. I hope a year from now we can sit and say,
laugh about that.
Yeah. And Submariner, he was kick-ass, man. That's the best choice they ever had. But I don't know.
Don't you mean the Submariner?
Submariner? The Submariner?
Summer Wiener.
I hope they call him Submariner.
Who is this Submariner? So it was a fine trailer, but again, it's one of those things to where I'll have to see more to actually make me want to go see the movie.
Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
If they show a little bit more of the Atlantans and stuff like that would draw me in, I think. But other than that, I'm like,
what really kind of cheeses me off is like, I don't know, if Black Panther really dies from like a sickness.
I don't think you will. I don't think you have.
As opposed to an honorable death in battle, right? That's what you think.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it should be. I mean, it shouldn't be he died, in his deathbed from an illness. I mean, that's kind of lame. I mean, that's what's going to happen to all of us. So, I mean,
right. Let's have something fantastical.
I mean, I want to exactly. I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to see my heroes die for a heroic death, not the way we're going to die, going out, pissing on our bed and
shitting ourselves. Yeah,
shitting ourselves and going out. I mean,
well, here's a thought. Like, so I'll run this because I was thinking about it too. Same reason why, like, the kids asked me, they're like, I thought, Jane Foster was going to live. I'm like, it's a cheat. It's a cheat if she lives.
You said that, yeah.
Right? Same thing here, right? If this whole trailer is basically, it's as much to honor Chadwick Boseman as it is to set up Namor, right? And that's going to be kind of like the whole... Oh, hang on.
Go ahead, sorry.
That's going to be kind of like the whole like undercurrent or the duality of this movie. I got a feeling, right? It's not just Black Panther's dead. We're also celebrating this actor that everybody loved, right? And so, I got a feeling if they wanted to do it, he died of a sickness, right?
Yeah.
You can bring in some of the like story, like not beat for beat or anything close to that, but some of the themes you had in Death of Captain Marvel, right?
Yeah, but that was, I mean, all that was him just getting skinny and dying. I mean,
there was more to it than that.
It's 2 pages, Brian, and you know it.
Well, yeah, there was a whole prestige format story, but
first, yeah.
But the point is, like, we're not going to see him getting sick. It's going to be the
aftermath. Yeah.
Right. It's going to be the aftermath. It might be like, blurred sort of imagery of that. They're inferring that that's him, right? But you're not going to see him. Yeah. And so think about this: like, if he's going to die in battle, how the hell do you do that if he's not there? So if he dies in battle, right? If he dies in battle. You've got to have his voice, right? 2, to do him any justice, you got to take the mask off and let him have his death scene.
They brought the young Luke Skywalker back. They can bring.
They chunk him off a cliff or something.
And that's going to be more respectful. That's more respectful than him dying of an illness.
We could not find his body. It was the Panther Yal.
No, think about it. With CGI and plus the
they could totally do that.
Has a mask over his face. He's in the beginning of the movie. Right. He's in a battle. He's fighting. He's kicking ass. He's not going to be talking. He ain't fucking Spider-Man where he talks the whole battle. He's just fucking fighting. And all of a sudden, the guy just chunks him off the cliff.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And maybe when he chunks him off the cliff, you see like a rock. Yeah.
The Indiana Jones audio.
Right. Yeah. Well, a rock goes through his chest or something and stabs him, and he breaks it in half. And you see that death, and then he washes away, and then. Start credits.
It'll be some Wakandan, 3D storytelling or something like that about his
that's what it'll be. Yeah,
and all that stuff. Anyway,
he died of cancer. I don't want to see that. I mean, that's probably how I'm going to go out. I don't want to see that.
I want to see him die in battle.
I want to see him die in battle.
But you want to see that. Here's the thing, though. There are, just like I said with Jane Foster. There are kids who've lost parents to cancer. So it's almost like that diversity sort of like conversation. It's like not just, hey, I want to see somebody, that's a superhero that looks like me. It's like, I want to see superheroes that have gone through the same struggles as me.
Then you might as well be watching Gossip Girls or whatever.
Yeah, might as well watch some damn Lifetime show on TV.
Exactly.
Tell your sissy-ass kids to watch fucking something on the goddamn Lifetime instead of watching the superhero movie.
Sissy kids.
Fucking A,
because PMR... Because a 50-year-old man doesn't want to see it.
No.
A 50-year-old... Look, kids, I don't need you to work through your shit because I'm 50 and I've got to work through my own shit.
I got to work through my own pain, my own problems.
Don't remind me of my mortality, kids.
God damn, man.
Well, you know what? Though, you know what struck me, Brian, is that you said that about Jane Foster, but yet at the end, not that I saw this movie, mind you, but from what I understand, at the end, all of a sudden Gore's like, you know what? I want to bring my child back to life. So again, it's like parents
Jane
who
Foster
lose.
comes back to life, you know. So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, it's all crazy.
All
Okay,
good.
so let me ask you that, guys, this.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, and I was going to bring this up, but I don't want to belabor it, but let's belabor it a little bit, I guess. So you got through all these phase stuff, and they talk about Avengers, the multiverse war, or whatever, and Kang's war after that.
Yeah, the Kang Dynasty.
Kang Dynasty.
And Secret Wars.
So, in Secret Wars, yeah, thank you. So here's my problem, and this is what we started out, and Podman Ryan's phone is just making me nauseous. Your face keeps going sideways and frontward. The problem is that with all of this phase 4, 5, 6, whatever, I don't give a shit about any of these characters. And I mean, that's the problem. Unless they bring them back in the multiverse war or whatever, and have a new Tony Stark and bring back the core Avengers.
You don't want to see none of them. I don't want to see I don't want to see them redo all that.
But I don't know how you're going to. Again, Fantastic Four, I'll get excited about. X-Men, I'll get excited about.
Right.
But all of those titles that Brian announced at the very beginning here, I don't care about seeing any of those. I honestly,
that's where honestly, I believe that's where Marvel made their mistake. They should have really jumped on. They got the rights for X-Men. They got the rights for Fantastic Four for Phase 4, which was in itself just. Wrote itself. It's Phase 4, Fantastic Four. You could have done a Fantastic Four movie and did God, that's like almost 50, 60 years worth of storytelling.
Right.
With great villains, great heroes, Silver Surfer, Galactus, Skrulls, everybody with the Fantastic Negative Zone.
Even Kang, right?
Everything. Kang, all of them.
Kang's more of an Avengers,
which was Reed Richards' dad, who's related to Kang. You have all that. You could have really just kind of geared away towards Avenger stuff and gotten to the Fantastic Four universe, which was still in the Marvel universe, and it would have been so much better than all this hit and miss stuff with Shang-Chi and Black Widow and Doctor Strange.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
by 2026, maybe I'll be back into superhero movies, but don't call me before then.
But maybe we'll be dead because God only knows, Jesus Christ.
Well,
I live to see all this.
Here's what I think the plan was for
the poor Black Panther. He didn't.
I think, if you kind of read between the lines, Phase 4 was supposed to end with Fantastic Four. I think that was what the whole thing was. It was going to be all this. You're setting up kind of these peripheral sort of things. You've got the shows going on, and the stinger at the end, the how we wrap this up is Fantastic Four, and especially if you introduce Doctor Doom in Black Panther, right?
Right.
I think a lot of this hurrying up the phases, ending Phase 4 early. Because I'm convinced it's ending early. There would have been more of a build up to Phase 4 if I think they're just ready to move on because they realize a lot of this stuff is not landing. But by the time you get to Phase 5 starts with Fantastic Four and ends with the two films, one in June or one in May, one in November, Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret War. Along the way, by the time we get to the Avengers again, you will have at that point, at the very least, what is he doing? You'll have War Machine. You'll have what the hell is he doing? You'll have War Machine. You'll have She-Hulk, right? You'll have whoever, and then they didn't announce Young Avengers at all, right? Which is weird. I'm assuming that's Phase 6, right? You'll have White Widow. You'll have any of the people we've established till now to fill out some sort of Avengers team. You'll still have Ant-Man. You'll still have Cassie. You'll still have Wasp. You'll still have Thor, Thor foreseeably to bring back in. and even Hercules at that point, right? So you've got kind of, and you could put in, Sam is Captain America at that point. So you've got a quasi Avengers team right there. But it's not like, it's nowhere near the level of the Avengers we had in phase 1, 2, and 3.
Unless they do something, they've got to bring that back.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't mind that, because if you're going towards the history of the comics and the Avengers team itself, that's how it went. I mean, you had these second tier characters that took over for the heavy hitters. And that's where, Avengers Assemble and the new lineups would come from, is you had a mismatch of these characters, and then you had to bring them all together, and they played off each other. So I'm okay with that.
But then at some point, you got to come back to Cap, Thor, and Iron Man.
Right, and that's what I was going to get to. So my theory is this: it's weird. Like, I'm reading heavily into the names of the last 2 Avengers movies, and into the fact that the Russo brothers have said their dream Marvel project would be Secret Wars. Their dream Marvel project would be Secret Wars. Right? Well, yeah. But they announced that the Russos will not have any involvement in Avengers 5 or 6, right? Kang Dynasty or Secret War, even though they said for years Secret War is their dream project. Right. Then it's like, well, how do you get in May of 2026 Kang Dynasty to November of 2026 being Secret War, right? And so my theory would be it's going to be not necessarily a part 1, part 2, but if you say Secret Wars, the Beyonder is a variant of Kang, right, and he's pulling them not from Earth to fight, but from different dimensions to fight,
right.
Multiverse, the multiverse.
It's a multiverse Secret War,
right?
With the Beyonder / Kang you're doing it, right? And it could even be like he's not necessarily an evil Kang. He's trying to prep them from some other galactic threat, right? But that way you can bring in a plethora of other heroes, or bring back a version of Iron Man, bring back a version of Captain America,
I think that's
into the Avengers. So
I hope they don't do that. Honestly, I don't. Because, one of the things with the comic book is they have to do it. They do it in the comic book because it's always been that way. It goes back to the status quo every 7 to 10 years. It goes back to the status quo because you get new readers. Tony Stark is Iron Man, Batman, Bruce Wayne. It's how it always is. But in the movies, actors age. Everybody ages out. And in all actuality, in a storytelling perspective, it's more interesting when these characters age and they move on and they have sons and daughters and legacy characters that take over. That's more interesting than just let's do another.
But then you don't like Sam Wilson Cap.
Right. Well, that's the problem.
You got
to replace them with interesting characters, and they're not doing that.
Right, and they're not doing that. And at some point, when Sam Wilson ages out, because Anthony Mackie's in his 40s, then at some point, do you come back to Steve Rogers, or do you create another Captain America? Like it's going to be continued.
There's been like 8 people who, over the years, have played Steve Rogers. I mean, there's the evil Steve Rogers from this, and there's a guy who's played a guy named Roscoe who was Captain America for a little bit. That's when you start giving the man
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Get rich, Skull. I'm going to get you. Go. Come on,
a basset hound.
A basset. His name's Flash. Just sad that I know this. I can't know where my keys are, but I can tell you what. The basset hound on the Dukes has his name.
Come on, Flash. We're going to get that.
Go, damn Dukes.
Captain Nazi. But yeah, so I agree with you that it's great that the characters age out, but you got to give me some character. So like, is Ironheart is going to be the replacement for Iron Man's presumably? So she better be kind of a good character, or else I could give a shit less.
No, the thing is, I don't think she's going to be per se the replacement. She's going to be the representation for the youth. You know, with the Young Avengers, she'll be.
So we'll never get Iron Man again. That property is effectually dead.
We will get another Iron Man. But you're probably right, Brian. I mean, they probably will recast and do a Tony Stark. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't like it. Exactly. I don't think they should, but they probably will because that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, for good storytelling, I don't think it is, but you know, if they want to just. I don't think for comic book fans, when you're reading a comic book, yeah, you want to read about Tony Stark. That's always been Iron Man. But I think for your average moviegoer, you don't want to see somebody recast the Tony Stark. I mean, you're just like, that's just kind of boring. Well, why are we doing that?
Interesting. It would be fine for me. It would be fine for me. And like here, you've got to remember these are intellectual properties, right? So the same argument of Discovery bringing back Superman and putting Superman in the forefront when they had kind of moved away from Superman is just proof of that. You have this well-known established character that's in your catalog and you're just not going to use them for the hell of it?
No, but I get that. But I mean, make another character though. I mean, what was Anthony Stark's son's name?
Arlo
Scott, Arlo Stark, which they really they retconned and made it his brother later on when, time caught up.
What year was that Iron Man, by the way?
2020, Iron Man 2020.
That's nuts, right? I mean, you think about those future things. Spider-Man
was back in 1980.
God, I love that. That was probably my favorite Iron Man storyline.
And
that Iron Man, that story was back in 1984. And back then, it seemed like that was 2020 was the far future.
I think Iron Man would look like that with those giant razor blade shoulder pads. And what's
funny? I talked to Bob Layton about that. And he said,
"Can you get him on the podcast?"
He said that was a story he kind of wrote himself when he was it was an idea he had. Iron Man's in this suit of armor. What if he went back in time to Camelot? Because he's kind of like a knight. And so, Bob Layton, that's where the genesis of that story came from.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Well, you could do, I mean, if you're going to keep the Marvel Universe the way it is, the MCU, cinematic universe, you don't need to be recasting, people that's already dead and all that. I mean, and going back and redoing that. You don't need another Tony Stark. You need to move forward.
But you need interesting characters, and they're just digging these people. Again, until you get X-Men and Fantastic Four, I don't know how many fucking interesting characters you're going to get. Enough to be that can hold a franchise like the Avengers. So, Brian, you named it the new Avengers is going to be Captain Marvel and War Machine and She-Hulk.
Black
I don't want to see that fucking movie. Yeah, it's going to have Black Knight.
Right.
I didn't like them in the comic books. I don't want to.
So and this is to PMR because PMR kind of he flip flops
he's
during
walking
his own
in
argument.
circles and he's talking in circles.
He's talking in circles.
No, I'm not flip flopping. Where am I flip flopping now?
Well, all right. So here's the issue. Here's the issue with what you propose. You say leave them dead, bring us new characters. Right. Great. If you have characters that are interesting, have they been able to accomplish that? No. To Brad's point, a resounding no. Think about in the comic books. In the comic books, have they created fresh new characters that are of the stature of the core three?
Right. Not since Triathlon.
No, they haven't. Yeah, that's
Rip George Perez.
There you go. So they haven't created these characters. They don't have these characters in the comics because the comics stay perpetually, in that loop. So it's and you've got Disney has they're going to continue to receive diminishing returns in these movies. People are going to care less and less and less and less and less about these movies as they continue to get watered down. And so then you're just going to get, all right, well, we're resetting the entire universe. You don't want us to replace Tony Stark, so we're going to replace every fucking thing.
Yeah.
So you have your choice is let them try to pepper in some new life and keep the continuity going, or break the continuity and start the whole goddamn thing over again.
Here's the here's the, I want to say, I don't want to say the word genius, but here's the.
Dare I say I'm genius?
No, not me. But here's where Marvel and Disney does really well, and they can do well. And I know you shit on these Disney Plus shows, and yeah, they've all been kind of hit and miss, but here's where they excel at, because they're able to take these second tier characters. Can you imagine? You would go see a Moon Knight movie, but 80% of the population have never heard of fucking Moon Knight.
Right.
Yeah, they've heard of Iron Man, they've heard of Thor, they've heard of Captain America, so they'll go see those. Those are the big heroes from Marvel. But like you just said, these second tier, third tier characters that no one really gives a shit about, you can't put them in a movie. So you cannot put them in a movie and expect people to go see them and then base the whole cinematic universe on there.
Right.
So they're able to put them in these little Disney Plus shows and try to get a following from them. Miss Marvel's another one. And in hopes of building something and trying to build these characters up, they're hit and miss. I mean, Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. I mean, it's just that they're just trying. They're just trying to do that, to build the cinematic universe and trying to push it forward with these characters. So you criss and cross, and you have like Hulk guest star in She-Hulk in hopes of getting people to watch She-Hulk, and right. Now you can push her into a movie, and you're pushing Miss Marvel into the Marvels movie, and I mean.
Again, but it's not. The point is, it's not landing.
Yeah,
it's not landing.
We haven't really seen that yet. I mean, we're not far enough into the experiment to see. I mean, we've only had of everything we've had. We've only had Scarlet Witch, and I didn't mind the Scarlet Witch. I liked WandaVision. I liked her character doing I felt like she was a good bad guy in Doctor Strange. So, we don't know about Miss Marvel if it's going to land. We don't know about Kate Bishop if that's going to land, or, all these other ones that they put out. So,
I do not see these like to Brad's point. If they put together an Avengers team out of what we've seen in Phase 4, right. I don't need to see that film.
Right.
I mean,
I get that you want to see the film. I get that you.
Hold on, because I agree. I see what you're saying, but I think once you see the finished product and you see these characters interact with each other,
maybe,
because that's what any story is. You see two, different personalities interact, and you see these characters like, oh, well, this character is from this show, and this character is from this show. Now we're getting to see them in a team setting, and it's interesting. I mean, the original.
You're talking yourself into it.
No.
You shouldn't have to.
Think about it, though. The original Avengers movie.
This is going to be a great geek debate.
The Avengers, the original Avengers team that we had in 2012, although in the comic books it's worked many, many years, of course. We had Thor, a Norse god, that was magical or whatever the fuck, and you had Iron Man that was pretty much grounded in reality at the time. In the 2008,
they existed for 50 years before that.
No. I'm talking about Marvel Cinematic
from a movie-going perspective.
In a movie-going perspective, you're throwing three characters that couldn't have been more different.
Sounds
you
like
threw them in a movie together.
But they had 50 years to figure out their identity and how they interact together. Now you're replacing them with characters.
Now, what Brian is saying is that the writers had 50 years to kind of figure out how to make these people gel, as opposed to, again, we're kind of making up what the Avengers Secret War movie is going to be.
Black Knights. Well, wait a minute now. Black Knight and She-Hulk have been Avengers together, actually, back in the 80s and the 90s. They were on the same team for 20 years.
Yeah, they both had jackets.
I got the jackets. I got the jackets to prove it.
But think of it. Hold on, Brian. Hold on. I look. Take a breath. Brian's got to take a breath first.
Yeah, no.
I look at it this way. I was trying to figure out what age. I don't know. My kids have seen the Avengers movies and stuff like that. But a 5-year-old now, whatever, a 5-year-old now, when they're 10 years old or 12 years old, let's say, and they're going to go see a movie about the Marvel movies and everything, they're going to get cheated out of the really good characters. They're going to get these second-tier characters that are just lame. They will never,
What's your thought of? But here's the thing, though. I mean, they're lame characters. What you think is the good characters, right, are what you grew up with. They may love Miss Marvel. They may love She-Hulk because that's what they've grown up with.
Maybe, yeah.
You don't know. I mean,
here's the root of this. Like, the kids and I were talking about this the other day. Something came up about because they were joking about you. They listened to one of the podcasts, and it was Ron goes, bad script, didn't really like the main character. It was Shang-Chi. Bad script, didn't really like the main character. 7 out of 5. And so this goes to the person that's been talking for the past 20 minutes, trying to sell everybody on Phase 5 and 6, is the same person. Hang on, is the same person that gave Shang-Chi a 7 out of 5. Now, and I told the kids then, I was like, if it's Marvel, PMR is going to give it an automatic +3.
No.
If Marvel, if it has a Marvel bumper at the beginning, automatic +3.
I like that.
Black Widow, I hated it. I can't stand it. But let me tell you this about.
Still got a 3 though.
Shang-Chi, the Shang-Chi story. The reason I give it so high is it reminds me of the old adventure stories from like Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff like that. Yeah, the scripts are bad, but it was a good adventure. I mean, it was a fun adventure. It was, it was action. It was, it had a decent story.
Please don't. You need to go watch RRR on Netflix.
Oh my God, Brad!
Tell me then you don't. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh gosh. All right. Well,
that's what I'm saying though. You can say something has a bad script and that that
you got no audio, Brian.
Kind of lame, but you can still enjoy the movie. I mean,
I'm just telling you.
I agree.
Here is your choice. This is the future you are faced with, PMR. One of two scenarios. One, they keep Kamala Khan turns 50, and they got to replace her with Little Miss Marvel or something, or they actually bring back characters that have notoriety and are well known.
Okay, but let me tell you, or we can just do that. Well, look,
there's two choices. Can I give you two choices?
Well, hold on a minute. Let me just say this, because what you just said, what you're proposing is what DC does, and why they can't get their shit off the ground is every 5 years they launch a same, a Batman movie. I mean, Batman versus Superman. Now we're going to do a Batman movie with a different actor and different feel to it. You can't get a cohesive universe because they keep relaunching stuff because they can't get it right.
No, they do get it right more often than they get it wrong. But hang on.
Go ahead.
Dark Knight trilogy, right? The last Batman movie. Shazam before that was really good. Aquaman a couple years ago was good. The original Superman trilogy, for what it is, it's great.
That was 40 years ago. I'm not talking about 40 years ago. I'm talking about like 10 years ago. The past 10 years when they were trying to get the whole Snyder
I could insult his wife to her face and get less
Don't you talk about no Marvel movies.
Anything about Marvel. All right, look, here's the point though. You've got to realize there's two choices. It's Iron Man is not going to stay gone forever. Iron Man is an intellectual property that Disney's going to want to access again.
Right.
They're not going.
Just
he's
like
not
Batman.
going on the shelf forever.
I mean, just
like Batman.
Yeah. Eventually, Batman's going to be played by 5 different
Iron
actors.
Man's coming back. One way or the other, Iron Man is going to come back in some form. The Hulk will come back. Not She-Hulk. The Hulk will come back in some form. So your choice is let them bring it back in and continue the continuity, which Marvel was historically known for their continuity, right? Let them bring it back in and continue the continuity, or scrap the whole damn thing
and just start over.
And start the whole Marvel Universe over again. Iron Man's coming back at some point.
In the multiverse.
If it does, and that's fine if he does.
And you'll love it when he does.
Yeah, you'll cheer.
No, well, maybe so, but I just think that's...
He'll be played by one of these Stranger Things kids.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
how can you?
Why do you want to continue to see the same Hulk story? How many times can you say? How many times can you show Dark Phoenix returns? How many times can you show?
You're going to see it at least one more.
Kingpin.
We've seen it at least three times already.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh my God, how many times can you show Kingpin come back and fight Daredevil and show Born Again? How many times can you show Iron Man and Iron Wars and all that shit?
But just think, how many
times can you show the same thing?
Right.
It's like, let's move on, and that's what Marvel is trying to do. Let's move on. We've seen Hulk. I mean, how many times can you see Hulk? I mean, he runs around in his shorts and
I'm not sure what his point is anymore, Brian.
I don't
Does
know.
he like Marvel movies?
I don't know what this is.
It's getting very late.
This is anymore.
He is lost on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, this is all right. Let's
wrap it up.
We'll put a pin in it. This could be a great geek debate, I guess, at a later date. So we did get a little.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Hold on. I just want to say. I mean, it's like. Let's clarify, because y'all making me sound like I'm a nut or something. But I'm just saying that we can, if you just want to trash the whole MCU and just no more canon like the DC universe does, and just do these, a Shazam movie here and a Black Adam movie here that has nothing to do with Shazam, and a Superman movie here that has nothing to do with either one of them. Yeah, we can do that with Marvel, and we can have another Iron Man movie with Tony Stark and another Hulk movie. But if you want to continue the universe that they started with the MCU, then you've got to move on from the Tony Starks and the Steve Rogers and the Thor, and you've got to move on. Now, you can go back and you can end the MCU if you want to reboot and do, like you said, a few episodes back and say, heroes are born and they're reborn and you've got the whole thing. You can do that. But then all you're going to do is to be watching the whole Iron Man origin again and the whole Captain American origin again. And who wants to see all that? I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we've seen it and read in the comic book. People have seen it on the big screen. I mean, maybe in 20 years they're going to reboot it when we're dead and stuff, and they want to restart the universe again. But I mean,
Ron has his heroes dead in 20 years.
I really don't want to see another Steve Rogers story. I don't want to see, origin story or an Iron Man.
But you've got, like, by that time you'll have 75 years of Captain America comic books to choose from, and they're not going to use that. From. Yeah,
which about 10 of them are good. So
okay,
I mean,
Hey, all right, let me pause you for a second, PMR. Let me pause you. Give me like 2 minutes, okay? You pitched on the last episode of the Podman doing Thor Ragnarok so that you could bring back Loki and Sif and Odin. You literally pitched Thor Ragnarok in the last episode. Hold on.
But that's different, though.
Hold on. It's not different. It was his idea. That's why it was different. Now, hang on. Now, here, let me pitch something to you real quick. So, if you can say keep the continuity because you like the continuity, you can say keep the continuity. Don't bring back Tony Stark. However, let me propose a scene for you. Okay, Secret Wars 2026. The Beyonder, Kang the Beyonder, whoever pulls everyone to the planet to fight in Secret Wars, and suddenly an Iron Man appears, and he's wearing the Iron Man 2020 outfit, and nobody knows who he is for 3/4 of the movie.
I love it.
Tony Stark, shocked. I mean, and who is going to be Tom Cruise's Tony Stark? I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying though. If you did that,
I mean, I'm all for an Iron Man, but I don't want him to be Tony Stark. I mean, can he be Tony Stark's son or daughter or
who's
the bum
to
down
say
the street that he gave $20 to? I don't know. I mean,
who's to say it's not a younger Tony Stark? Who's to say it's not a Tony Stark that was time placed? Who's to say it's not a descendant of Tony Stark? It doesn't matter. You're getting Iron Man back. And that could be the whole. You could do the whole thing and not even answer who Tony Stark is in that movie, and then roll it into a new Tony Stark, into a new Iron Man franchise in Phase 7. I'm saying, like, you can have Iron Man back. There's no reason we shouldn't already have Iron Man back. And you can't tell me you wouldn't rather have an Iron Man than Ironheart.
And my rebuttal would be, no one gave a shit about Iron Man back in the 2000s. No one. The only reason Marvel used him is because it's the only one of the only characters they didn't sell to Sony or Universal. So that's the only reason Marvel was able to use them. No one gave a shit about them. Props to Robert Downey Jr. that made the character what he was. So if you do bring Iron Man back, you're going to bring him back with some actor who's not going to have the charisma or the acting chops as Tony. That's what. Look, Iron Man 3, I mean, although people shit on it, I actually like the movie, was Robert Downey Jr. mostly in the movie more than Iron Man was. I mean, he's what made Iron Man Iron Man. It wasn't the comic book. So, yeah, you can bring Iron Man back, but you're just going to have some goofy person in the costume or CGI, and you're not going to have the actor that made
You've never liked any of the castings before either, and then the movie comes out. You said it earlier, and you said you love it.
You're very correct on that. You're right. And they could bring someone who's just as charismatic as Robert Downey Jr. that could do a good job. But I'm just saying, it's just, I would rather, instead of seeing the same story with the same character, let's branch out into some of these other characters.
Give me
other than Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Other than Fantastic Four and X-Men, we're talking Avengers. Avengers.
Avengers?
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about the whole time. Is Avengers 5 and 6? What the fuck? What the fuck are you talking? Like, I guess Avengers. Okay, so give me an Avengers team completely different than what we had in Endgame or Age of Ultron, any of Phase 1, 2, or 3. Give me a different Avengers team that's going to be as iconic as those. You're Mr. Marvel. You know the Marvel history. You know everything.
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you, son. Okay, you got Wonder Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wonder Man. You got Swordsman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You
iconic.
Got Mantis.
Bring her back. Yeah.
These are iconic Avengers. I mean, these are
the Mantis is not an iconic Avenger.
Are you kidding me?
She was huge in the 70s.
Not Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, she's in the 70s. But I mean, Black
Moondragon.
Actually, Moondragon would have been one of them back in the
Quasar.
If only Persis Kambata was still around to play Moondragon.
I mean, there's tons of Avengers.
There's not iconic, though. They're not going to be, I don't know how many T-shirts are going to have Moondragon and Swordsman and Wonder Man on it, and kids are going to be wearing it on diapers and shit like that.
What do y'all want? What do you want? You want them to recast everybody and we watch the same boring shit again? I mean, let's just do. I
think so.
Or just fade into another team. Go into
again, if they can make the Swordsman. If they can make that Wonder Man, Swordsman, Black or Mantis, Jesus. If you can make them interesting, then that's the whole point. So far, they have not been interesting.
Here's what I would like to see. Honestly, this is what, in all kidding aside, this is what I'd like to see out of this next phase. This is what I was happy to see with Avengers. 4 and 5 being introduced.
5 and 6.
Being an Avengers fan, I know that the Avengers is not only made of top tier people. You have teams throughout the history of these just kind of nobodies, second and third tier characters, and them mashing together. So I actually
not as the whole team.
Yes, as the whole team. I can give you the whole 90s lineup when it was Cersei, Black Knight was the leader. You've got Dr. Druid, you have She-Hulk, you have all these second, third tier characters. You didn't have any of the big three in there.
Right.
You didn't have Iron Man. You didn't have Captain America. You didn't have Thor. You had a Thor ripoff. You had Thunderstrike, for God's sake. But you had. So I want to see how
you want to see
just different teams would
but
be like a mesh-up team.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I mean,
that is. But here's the thing. I was with you in the 90s when that team was in the Avengers, and you fucking hated it.
Yeah, but I want to see it.
The only thing you liked about it was
everybody wants to see it.
the only thing you liked is that they were all wearing matching jackets.
Yeah, just like the leather jackets. That's all.
Like, fucking sweet.
All he did was bitch about the Avengers.
I can't believe Dr. Druid's an Avenger.
Where's Iron Man? Where's Captain America? Where's the Wasp?
They got to stick with what people know and love.
Here's the thing. I think you need to realize that you have.
You need to realize something, Podman Ron.
You have this.
We've seen these movies before. I don't.
Not unlike a battered spouse.
I just don't want to see these same characters. I mean,
but then they got to give characters that are interesting. They haven't produced any interesting
they don't
characters.
Have anything else. Right?
Well, that's what we're fucking saying.
What is it? Like, this is like we're arguing with an insane
This has gone on
person.
about 40 minutes too long.
They don't have anything else, but I wish they did, and I hope they figure.
I don't know what they're doing with Squirrel Girl.
I mean,
They don't have anybody else. Everything else sucks, but maybe it won't. Don't bring back Tony Stark.
Don't you dare bring back Tony Stark.
I think the MCU, with the introduction this weekend, I think it's set its path back right to where, and it's kind of focused back.
We had different reactions. That's all.
But I honestly do. I'm sorry. I mean, I just think that y'all
don't apologize.
Y'all want to just go back to Iron Man and Thor and
good characters.
Let's try to advance this a little bit. Oh, good, he's gone. All right,
all right, wrap it up, Brian.
Yeah, no. Wrap it up before he calls back in.
He is gone now.
He is gone for real. I don't know if I think we want to cover this real quick. His phone probably died after that epic rant and him wandering around Myrtle Beach.
Now he's lost and he can't call home. I have no idea. It's all dark here, and I'm on a pier somewhere or another. So
they did apparently. Marvel has registered some trademarks, which may be pretty interesting.
Maybe
Nomad, and they said that there was talks of bringing back Chris Evans in some way, shape, or form. So they report. The rumor is they've filed trademarks for Nomad for movies.
Oh my God!
Shang-Chi, is he calling back in?
No, he's calling with Alex's phone. Let me decline and try to invite him on FaceTime. You keep talking.
All right, so we got Nomad, which is who Captain America became, or Steve Rogers became after he gave up the Captain America mantle.
Right.
You've got Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time, Black Knight Origins, Eternity Wars, Midnight Suns, which we've talked about. That would be a team they could do. Avengers Academy, and Celestials End of Time. So the thought, and this was, there's some rumors going around that Guardians, some of the characters will walk off into the sunset. The remaining Guardians characters will be folded into the Eternals franchise, because watching them is like watching paint dry. And that's what Infinity Wars and Celestials. That's what Eternity Wars and Celestials End of Time will focus on. So Adam Warlock, Mantis, if she sticks around and doesn't join the Avengers.
What are y'all talking about?
All right, so I posted this. There's reportedly Marvel has filed trademarks for these properties for either TV or film. Nomad, which would be, potentially talked about bringing Chris Evans back in some form, so they could do Nomad.
Why would they bring Chris Evans back for Nomad? Never mind.
Never mind. Don't get into it.
Steve Rogers?
No. Never mind. I was thinking Nova. Never mind.
Nomad. Which Nova is not in phase 5 or 6 so far. I mean, that's a huge omission. The next one, Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. Black Knight Origins, which that foreseeably I think would probably be a TV show. Eternity Wars, Midnight Suns, Avengers Academy, which would likely be a TV show, and Celestial's End of Time. And then along with this, the rumor is, or the thought process is, whoever's left of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Batista's gone, Dave Batista's gone, James Gunn said he's done after 3, Chris Pratt said he's done, right? I'm fairly certain Gamora will be done, but they're also introducing Cosmos in Guardians, among others. So you could take who's left of Guardians, and the thought is, or the rumor is, they're going to take the Guardians and fuse them with the Eternals, since the Eternals is just, like I told Brad, like watching paint dry. So to punch up that team some, and then that would be Eternity Wars and then Celestial's End of Time. That would be if they basically Guardians plus Eternals into their own trilogy.
With you talking about Eternals and Guardians and all that, I'm surprised Marvel hasn't stuff than they did. I really thought with the success of Marvel, with Guardians of the Galaxy and with Thanos thing, that we would be more of a cosmic Marvel stuff, and that just never happened. I mean, it just kind of like feel about.
You're in and out. We can't hear you, PMR.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was just saying, I felt like with the Guardians, success of the Guardians, that Marvel would have leaned more into the cosmic aspect of their universe and really introduced more like Nova and, I mean,
that was what they kind of promised, right? And then it didn't happen in phase 4. And I think part of your problem with phase 4 is Disney Plus scuttled that. Disney Plus came on board, and they're like, we need content for this new platform, and they're like, well, we don't have the budgets to do cosmic stuff on Disney Plus, so that's where it took this shift in the storytelling, and then I think you compound that with the fact that Eternals was probably the worst Marvel movie in any phase, right? Yeah. So you got, if you want to stick with Eternals, you got to punch it up. Guardians, you'll have people that are willing to come back outside of James Gunn and all. So and I think that's why they're going to try and beef up Guardians. I think you may see Guardians from the future bring in Vance Astro, right? Something like that if you want to.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, Astro's a good character. I don't know why they haven't brought him in yet.
But so you could do that. Punch up the Eternals, deal with some of the Star Fox stuff, right? And then maybe get enough goodwill heading in to turn Eternals into a trilogy, right? And that would be Eternity War and Celestials, a movie titled Celestials End of Time. So, and that would also kind of tie in with, if Shang-Chi is the Wreckage of Time, you could have something going on there. And Shang-Chi honestly kind of fits better with what we saw in the Eternals than he does with the Avengers. So anyway.
Yeah, I just think they really just kind of screwed the pooch with the cosmic stuff. I mean, I really thought they were going to really lean into it, and they just didn't. I mean, they're just like,
Well, and the kids were talking earlier about Miss Marvel, and they didn't finish Miss Marvel. I finished it because of the podcast. That's the only reason I finished it. Is not that I felt it was compelling or anything. And honestly, well, we can talk about that later. But I finished it. They're talking about it. They're like, they didn't have any interest in watching any more of it. That's the only one they haven't ever finished, right? And they're like, I don't get it. Why? Because they did like Miss Marvel when they did the New Age or whatever it was, New Heroic Age for Marvel, and it was Sam Wilson Cap and Miss Marvel and all, and that was the Avengers team. They liked that. They liked that idea, and it kind of resonated with them. And so they said, well, I don't understand why Miss Marvel's powers were different. I didn't like that, right? And I'm like, well, the reason her powers were different is twofold. One, yes, Reed Richards is coming, right? But two, it's a hell of a lot easier to superimpose those crystal shards over her arm and move a truck 10 feet away using a dolly than it is to actually CGI her making a 5-foot fist. So, and that goes back to, well, why the hell didn't we get the cosmic stuff? Because they wanted, Disney Plus wanted content. That was the mandate from Disney, and but they knew they weren't going to have the budget to do them right. So cosmic stuff went out the window. Nova gets put on the back burner. Hey, let's watch Miss Marvel set in New Jersey. Let's watch, Hawkeye set at Christmas time in New York. Like, because that stuff's easy to film because it's not CGI heavy.
Right.
So, but yeah, but the Miss Marvel thing, like it does look hokey. It doesn't make sense why she has this aura that grows and makes her big. She's like 10 foot tall and with giant fists 1 minute, and the next minute she's doing these like crystal steps to stand on, and sometimes her power looks like crystal shards. It doesn't make sense, like what's happening, and they don't bother explaining it either, other than it's just this kind of aura she has. Like, so I don't know. Yeah, but that's why what's the things that we're missing from this phase. Brad has gone to bed. The things that we're missing from this phase is we still have no X-Men announcement, no movement on X-Men whatsoever, no movement on Nova, right? Which should just be a layup at this point.
Right.
What's interesting about this the two phases, what they did announce seems like a lot, but what's glaring is what they still haven't announced. Like,
yeah, I think I don't know. I think Fantastic Four should have been they should have already done that. I think they should have done that before they did all this multiverse stuff, to be honest with you. I think they should.
And we don't have a director or a cast.
Yeah, they really should have introduced Fantastic Four. And I don't know why they're having such a hard time with it. It's not that hard. I mean, they really could have. I mean, and it's not only that hard, but it's like it introduces so many characters that, who owned Fantastic Four? The Universal and no, it was Fox.
It was Fox.
That there were so many characters that Fox had because of Fantastic Four that were released when they got it that they can use now. So, but you know what? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they've kind of got it all mapped out in a weird way. So, I mean, I just hope I'm alive to see it. Womp womp.
But I don't know. But to your point, like if they're looking for stronger characters, they've got these characters that they're trying to push that more are missing than are hitting. And then you do have characters like Nova, who is, he's on the same sort of tier as She-Hulk, right? If not a little more popular than She-Hulk, and can't get any movement on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff but they kind of ruined the Nova Corps because I didn't like their representation in Guardians. I thought they looked kind of lame.
But all they had to do, like, and I said this 3 years ago, is they say they start a Nova movie with Thanos destroying the Corps, wiping them out.
Which he did. Which he did.
Right, which he did off screen, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you say they've got a new prototype helmet that's in the vault, and because and you treat it like Green Lantern's ring, because all the Nova Corps are dead, like it's sent to go find, or it's programmed. It can be programmed to Rick Rider. He could just find it, or it could be what you did with Sam Alexander, where his dad was actually in the Nova Corps, and the helmet came to him looking for help, not realizing that his dad had died or something like that. So and it was programmed to his DNA. But you could do basically that, and that way you explain, well, why did the Nova Corps change? Well, because it's this new prototype helmet, and there's only one person left that can wield it.
Right.
And then, boom, start the movie. So
yeah, you would think that would work. So, but I don't know why they don't do this stuff they do.
So, I don't know. Brad, are you, I really think he just hung up.
Where the hell did he go?
What's
not
going on?
Much. We were talking about.
I don't want to. That's okay. I don't need a recap.
He doesn't need a recap. He'll listen. He'll listen to the podcast.
Yeah. No, it's 2 hours. Too long.
It is too long. So, PMR, I'd like for you to be a little more objective when it comes to Marvel in future episodes.
DC, I mean, come on.
I'll call DC out when they pull some shit. But DC has turned a corner in the past couple of years.
How so?
Between Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, which was bad.
It was more than bad.
Yeah. Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, Shazam, and the Batman. That's the last 4 films we've gotten. And a Suicide Squad, too. So out of the last 5 films, 4 of them are fresh. 4 of them were very entertaining.
Which 4?
Not Wonder Woman. Aquaman's a good movie.
Joker?
And Joker. Yeah, Aquaman's a good movie.
Oh, no, don't say Joker. No.
No, I'm not. Aquaman's a good movie. Suicide Squad is a great movie. Batman's a great movie. Shazam was a perfect. They're batting, 800 right now. Yes, if you go back to the Snyderverse stuff, yeah, it was more missed than it was hit. But then prior to Snyderverse, you had all the Nolan stuff, and that stuff was good. It was great. Before that, right? You had the Batman, the 90s, 80s, 90s Batman stuff, which we had a couple of good movies and then some turds.
And I get it, but what we want to see, I want to see, is DC to do something like Marvel did. I'd like to see them do a universe with all these characters so we can see them interchange with each other. That's what makes it fun in the comic books. That's what made it fun watching it in the Marvel universe. I would like to see DC's characters do the same thing, and it just don't seem like they can get it together to do that. So that's my issue with that.
Why don't we save this for another episode of the Great Geek Debate, so that we don't rehash the same thing over and over.
Yep.
What are you trying to say, Brad?
I'm saying I wanted this to be a 1 hour podcast. And
he's saying I want to go to bed,
and I'm ready to go to bed. So until next time,
save it for the podcast.